Hi guys, this is Jude from 𝐬𝐋𝐿. In this tutorial, I'll be talking about safety and privacy on the internet. More specifically, the concept of VPN, that's Virtual Private Network. A VPN in its most basic form extends your private network across a public network and enables you to send and receive data across such public network as if it was a private network. Of course, there's a lot more to it, talking about encryption, anonymity, location privacy, content unblocking, and lots more. However, the main goal is still to provide you more security, more privacy, and more flexibility on the internet. Here, I'll be walking you through a number of reasons why you may need a VPN for your day-to-day online activities and what to look out for when choosing one. Back in December of 2018, I was on a trip to Estonia, and just like most people, I had a number of reasons to stay connected to the internet, from location tracking to emails, social media, entertainment, Uber, and so on. So I kept switching from one service provider to another, from the airport to the train station to the shopping malls, individual hotspots, Airbnb, and literally whatever gives access to the internet. Fast forward to when I returned from the trip, a couple of weeks later, I started getting some weird emails. Now, these are not just some typical random spam mails we receive every now and then. The sender or senders of these emails claim to have access to one of my passwords, which was included in the email. He or she claims to have the credentials to my other emails and social media accounts, and then asks for about $1,000 compensation, otherwise he will start sending dirt about me to all my contacts. And then he puts his Bitcoin address to the mail. For the most part, I wasn't really bothered by the content of this email, except for one thing. The password the sender claims to have was in fact one of my passwords, fully accurate. Although I had changed this password before I started receiving these emails, I couldn't still help but wonder how this unknown person got access to my password. More so, it could have been my banking details or some other critical credentials. With this experience, I had to quickly resort to using VPN across all my devices to beef up my security and privacy on the web. Clearly, this is a privacy breach I believe a VPN could have easily prevented. Now, taking a look at some basic statistics, the increase in the use of VPN has been remarkable over the last 3 years. This is no surprise given the recent antecedents related to safety and privacy on the internet, be it the Facebook Cambridge Analytica, the Marriott Hotel Group, Quora, and a bunch of other such massive privacy breaches. Even more recently, we saw the passing of Article 13, that's the EU Copyright Directive, which could effectively lead to blocking of contents from and to the EU region. Prior to all these, VPN was seen as some out-of-reach technology that was reserved for only the government, military, and big businesses. Those were the entities we felt should be concerned about such high level of security for their online activities. But that has changed expeditiously. To put this to perspective, a recent report by VPN Mentor showed that more than 95% of Americans surveyed in a recent poll said they were either somewhat concerned or very concerned about how companies use their data. No wonder there has been over 4-fold increase in VPN users over the last 3 years globally, with users mostly concentrated in Asia and the Middle East, more specifically in Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, and Thailand. Needless to say that with the passing of Article 13, the next VPN search will likely be in the EU member states. Now, keeping the statistics aside, here are some more specific reasons why you may need a VPN for your online activities. First is anonymity. That's the ability to surf the web without having to reveal your identity to the public. Data encryption, so even if someone manages to intercept your data, they won't be able to read it. Geospoofing, that's changing your IP address so it looks like you are in a different location. Torrenting and access to other peer-to-peer file sharing protocols. Ability to stream geo-restricted media from anywhere in the world, talking about Netflix, Hulu, Kodi, and so on. Then we have the ability to purchase cheaper flight tickets. Statistics have shown that flight tickets are cheaper to buy from some locations than others. Save money with geo-targeted online purchases. Get around geo-restrictions with banking and other financial transactions. Comment and review posts anonymously. The list continues. So how do you go about getting a suitable VPN service for your specific needs? There are literally hundreds of VPN service providers out there, so deciding on the most ideal one could be quite confusing for a typical everyday user, more so with the influx of the so-called free VPNs. Now, this video is not so much about which VPN service provider offers the best overall VPN service or the best deals. It's about the need for VPN in general and what factors to consider when choosing a VPN service provider to meet your specific needs. The VPN providers I will link in the video description are those that, generally speaking and through tons of users' feedbacks, provide very solid all-round VPN services for nearly all usage scenarios, and considering all the factors I'll be discussing in this video. Of course, some have certain unique features which I'll be touching up on briefly in the video, but generally speaking, any of these linked VPN providers is more than enough for your typical everyday use. But if you would want to know a bit more about their respective uniqueness and what to look out for when choosing a VPN in general, then keep watching. First is of course the issue of security and privacy, which is the main essence of getting a VPN in the first place. Every VPN provider clearly outlines its privacy and login policies, either in the privacy policies section, in the terms of service, or frequently asked questions. In any case, you want to ensure the VPN provider offers absolutely no log policy, and what that means is that your browsing data, including IP addresses, browsing history, traffic destination or metadata, DNS queries, are not stored anywhere by any means. For this factor, all the VPN providers I linked in the description offer zero log policy. Hence, if you choose to pick any of them, then you don't need to worry about this factor. Second is of course the issue of encryption. Again, this goes without saying. You don't want your data to be sent in any format that can be interpreted by an adversary, even if they manage to intercept it. The two common encryption schemes for most VPN providers are the 128-bit and the 256-bit AES encryption. The 256-bit encryption is generally regarded as military-grade encryption used by NSA and top government agencies for encrypting classified information. And in case you're wondering the differences between the two schemes, going by what the numbers suggest, the 256-bit scheme is exponentially more difficult to crack than the 128-bit scheme. But of course, that is at the cost of increasing the processing needed for the encryption and decryption of data. In practice, both schemes are extremely difficult to crack, if not impossible. The 256-bit scheme is really an overkill for the most part, in my opinion. The 128-bit scheme is more than enough already. The third factor on the list is speed. Now, this is a bit misinterpreted in most contexts. The fact is that all VPN services will reduce your network speed to some extent simply because your traffic needs to be routed back and forth through the VPN servers. This drop in speed could be anywhere between 5 to 20% depending on the server bandwidth, the closeness of the server location relative to your location, and of course the number of users connected to the same server at the same time. So if for instance your goal is just to have your data encrypted, then connecting to the server closest to you is one way to ensure optimal speed and performance. Most VPNs will automatically connect you to the best available server except you specifically decide to choose some other server location. CyberGhost, for instance, goes the extra mile to provide you the current percentage load of the servers in each country. This can really come in handy when choosing a server location to connect from. And that brings me to the next factor, which is having plenty of servers either close to your location or in your location of interest. So if I live in Thailand and I want to always link to the web with an IP from the United States, then I want to make sure that the provider I'm opting for has enough servers in the US. This will guarantee better quality of service whenever I connect to such VPN. Next thing you want to consider is mobile app support. These days, a lot of what we do online are usually done from our mobile phones, so the need for mobile app support goes without saying. Again, for this factor, all the providers in the description have mobile app support. So all you need to do after purchasing any of the plans is to search your Google Play or App Store and download and install the mobile app just like any other apps on your phone. Sign in with your registered credentials and you are good to go. Next thing to check out is the number of simultaneously connected devices supported by the VPN, especially if you have plenty of devices you wish to have online simultaneously, or if you would want to share your subscription with a friend or family, then this is a factor to consider. All VPNs in the description offer connections to multiple simultaneous devices, however some provide for more devices than others. Of course, they all have their terms and conditions for this feature. For instance, it's common that you have only one device for each connection protocol. So if this is a big factor for you, then you should remember to put it to consideration. Next, you want to check the possibility of supporting any special services you might need, such as Netflix, Hulu, peer-to-peer torrenting, or anything like that. If you are working with very sensitive data, then a kill switch might be essential for you. What this does is basically to automatically prevent any leaks in your data, even if your connection drops for any reason. This can be applied at device level or application level. That way you can be sure that you won't be at the mercy of the ISP in case of any service breaks or outages. Then finally, you need to consider cost. For most users, this is what it comes down to. Generally, the more expensive VPNs are likely offering some additional features and services for the extra cost, but then you need to check ahead of time to see if you actually need those additional services. If you are not sure about this, then it's better to start off with a 1-month subscription plan. This would cost a bit more compared to the longer term plans per month, but then you don't want to get stuck with a VPN that doesn't serve you right for 2 or 3 years. And speaking of money back guarantees, all providers in the description offer 7 to 45 days money back guarantee. So you have enough time to actually try out whichever provider you choose and then decide if you are okay with the service. If not, you can request a refund within the money back time. So in summary, if you are checking for what VPN provider to go with, I will advise that you make a quick list of all the features that are important to you: location privacy, strong encryption, being able to use IP addresses from specific countries, online shopping, streaming services, Netflix, torrenting, the need to connect several devices simultaneously, just name it. Then shortlist the VPN providers that offer your needed features and simply opt for the provider that offers the best pricing point from your list. There's really no point paying more for a VPN that has the most number of servers when all you need is just to have your data encrypted online. Moreover, virtually all VPN providers are constantly expanding on their server base and speed. So whatever provider you choose will eventually be having more servers over time. You also don't want to be paying more to have a bunch of settings you never get to actually use or even know about. So I think it's better to go with what meets your particular needs as opposed to what is most popular. And if you happen to settle for any of the recommended providers in this video, then using the links in the description can get you between 49 to 79% discount on your subscription, depending on what provider you choose to go with. And that is it for this tutorial. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. Share with anyone you think might want to see. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for update on future tech support videos like this one. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.